Yo, 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 what it is, what it do, what it be. You guys know what time it is. Yes, oh yes, oh yes. It is that place, it is that time once again for the I Am the Possible podcast experience. Yes, this is the place where possibilities become perspective. Yes, I is your host, Travell C.W. Lynch, Mr. What, and I am your self-worth specialist. Guys, I want to thank you once again for rocking with me in the I Am the Possible universe. Thank you so much for showing up once again. Guys, you already know what we got to do. I'm so excited, as I always am. But before I jump into any of this amazing information, this amazing content, this amazing moment of service to you, I have to pause for the cause, and you know what the cause is. That's right. It's you. Your presence is the greatest present that any of you guys could ever give me. So thank you. I want to share my gratitude. I want to express my gratitude. I want to express my thanksgiving for you, right? I want to celebrate you. Thank you for every email, for every download, for every share, for every like, for every comment, right? For every review, for every star, right? Just thank you so much, man, for rocking with me. And thank you so much for showing up each and every week with me and sharing in this moment, because you are the reason I do what I do. It is the hope. It is the idea. It is the possibility that an idea that God's given me, that I have the privilege to share with you, and that I get to also witness myself. I'm not the guru. I'm not the high and almighty exalted teacher. I am only a vessel, a channel that gets to share what God downloads to me so that we can both learn and we can both improve and mature through inspiration. I really want to create this as an inspiration station, man. When you plug into this place called the I Am the Possible podcast experience, it is my desire. It is truly my desire that you would be inspired. And today we're going to be talking about just that very thing, totally inspired to take your life and your leadership to the next level. Now, before we can go to the next level, and I want to share with you today's title and kind of what I've entitled this one. This one is going to be entitled Taking the Limits Off Your Life. Taking the Limits Off Your Life. Now, I know that is not a fancy title. You've probably heard that title a million times before, and that's okay. One thing that I've learned in life, and I really want to share this with you guys, is that nothing is new under the sun. You already know that. But what happens is God gives us all a unique take on common things. It could be leadership development. One man could approach that one way. Another person could approach that a different way. The topics are always going to remain the same, but the unique expression that each one of us represents, the unique expression of God's glory, it is through that expression that we have the privilege and the honor of presenting old things in new ways. That's why I love innovation. We get to share old ideas in very new ways, and they provide us with inspiration. So today, I want to help you to take some limits off of your life. Now, before I get into this, and I've been really working on a lot of this just in my own personal life, the idea of categorical thinking, okay? One of the dangers of categorical thinking, and this is kind of off topic, but it kind of sets the tone for really what I want to share today. When you hear the phrase, take the limits off of your life, it could easily be perceived or taken as all limits, all limitations. And for me, that's a very categorical statement, right? Live limitless. Well, that sounds great. It's even inspiring. But when you really step back and you really look at life, we have limitations. It's just how it is. I'm like 5'9", right? Possibly 5'10", right? But I'm somewhere in that area. 5'8", 5'9", 5'10". I'm somewhere in that area, right? Is it possible for me to scale a 30-foot wall? Probably not. Right? I mean, come on, guys. Like, I get one side of the coin. There are no limitations. Through God, you can do all things. And then there's the other side of the coin. He didn't design you to do that. It's just very practical. Like, it's okay to be very practical, right? So the reason that I share this with you is that when I say take the limits off your life, we are going to be addressing very specific kinds of limitations. But I dare not try and present some strategy or some approach to living that would actually cause you to live completely limitless. It ain't that just ain't how it works. In fact, and I won't go down this path. I'm so tempted because all of the things that I'm learning, right? I'm constantly learning, constantly reading. There is actually a huge positive to not only having limitations, but embracing those limitations. But again, I won't go down that path. I'll save that for another episode. But guys, I want you to really, really know, and I want you to really, really hear my heart when it comes to limitations. There are absolutely limitations on our lives, and there are limitations that we will never be able to remove, and they are there for a reason and a purpose, and they're actually working for us. Okay? So again, just want to sow that seed. I'll backtrack. I'll come back around in a future episode and get more on the positives to having limitations. I think that's a dope take right there. Like, that's a whole episode in and of itself. The positive or the positivity or the positive advantages, right, of having limitations. I think that's a pretty cool idea to share on, because I've been shown how that works, and perhaps you would be interested in learning more about that as well. But back to today's topic, guys, taking the limits off your life. Now, the kind of limits that I want to talk about today are the limits that we can actually control. The mental limits, the limitations around our thinking, the limitations actually around what stops us and prevents us, like 99% of the time. Like 99% of all limitations are made up in our minds. That other 1% is like the limitation that I talked about earlier, being like 5'9" and trying to scale a 30-foot wall. Physically, that just ain't happening, right? So that 1% is usually where all of the physical limitations and societal limitations and environmental limitations, those types of things, that's kind of reserved for that 1%. But the 99% of every other type of limitation usually starts in our minds. And so today I wanted to start off with sharing a little bit about me. And the reason that I want to share a little bit about me, and the way that I want to share a little bit about me, is to set us up to break down everything else that I want to share. Now, when I open up this podcast, I always share with you that I am your self-worth specialist, right? Your self-worth specialist. And perhaps you don't know what that means, right? What is a self-worth specialist? What is he talking about? What do you do, right? What services do you provide? Well, I provide multiple services. I provide, event speaking. I'm a speaker. I provide pastoral preaching, right, to a congregation or a church or to like a nonprofit religious organization. I provide coaching services, whether it's in group sessions or one-on-one, and I provide multiple products, including the books that I've written. But all of them find themselves funneling in this one channel called self-worth. It's the gap that I feel most called and most aligned with addressing in the world. And the reason that I believe that God gave me the title, because I've never met another one, of self-worth specialist, is that I specialize in helping people see their worth in two areas: their work and in their world. In their work and in their world. Now, I want to help you see your worth in the work that you do, whether it's a 9-to-5, whether it's working in a church as a volunteer or on staff, whether it's working within your community, any type of physical work, labor, your job, your career, your business. You would be surprised the number of people that are doing a lot of things physically, but on the inside, they feel empty and they don't feel like they truly have and possess value in this world, or like I like to put it, finding their worth in this world. And because we work so much, it's a worthwhile pursuit to help people to leverage their work life to see their worth in life, right? Because we spend so many hours at work, a lot of times we're looking for validation, we're looking for appreciation, we're looking for someone to tell us, good job, kudos, you did a great job, a high five. We're looking for that validation. And that's why leadership in corporate America and on jobs is so important, right? That we are mature leaders, because the people that are following us and looking to us as supervisors or managers or CEOs, a lot of what they're doing, is for the purpose of being validated and finding their worth in and through their work, right? So I address that. And then I also specialize in helping people find their worth in this world, okay? And that's where I really want to draw some attention, because there is a world that many of us are not aware of. There's a world that is unique to you. See, when we hear the word world, sometimes we get an image of the globe, right? This round ball with oceans and land, and we get that image in our head. Well, that's actually Earth, right? Michael Beckwith said it best. There's one Earth, but there are infinite worlds. There's infinite worlds. And so when we think about the fact that there's one Earth, the Earth that we all share, you sow a seed in the ground, you water it, you give it sunlight, it grows. That's seed time, that's harvest. The Bible says that it will never go away. So the earth is like something that we all get to share. The sun comes up, it burns hot, it heats the earth. That's just true for everybody. The rain comes down, it waters the earth, plants grow. That's how it works for everybody. The earth is shared by everyone, though the earth is the Lord's, right? But the earth is what we all share. What we don't share, and what I want to get into today, what we don't share is our world. See, the world that we live in, the world that we need to find our worth in most, is the world within. Your world is within you. Your world is not out here. Your world is here. I want you to really breathe that in. Really take that in. You and I don't share the same world. How do I know? Because, and I'll get into this in just a moment, there are actions that I'll take that you won't take. There's things that I'll do that you won't do, and vice versa. See, our world is determining our work. What we have on the inside of our world is actually producing the work or the actions that we take, the decisions that we make. So my world is made up of the things that I've been exposed to. Your world is made up of the things that you've been exposed to. So we don't share the same world. We only share the same earth. Why is it that one man is put into a situation that you would consider a bad situation, and yet they go on to go to college, and graduate, succeed, start a business, become a multimillionaire? I'm just giving that example because that's something that most people can identify with, right? Rags to riches. But you'll take the same person, put them in the same situation, and they grow depressed. They give up. They commit suicide. Same earth, same situation, same background, same city, same hood, same elements, same problems, same opportunities. But one person takes one path and another person takes another path. Why is that? It is because of the world that they are experiencing within. I just watched this amazing movie, and I really suggest that everyone in the world watches it, right? Because I'm just that kind of guy. If I love it, I think the world needs to see it. Maybe you don't, but I loved it. It's called Flamin' Hot. I think it's on Hulu. Movie just came out, and I don't know the guy's name, or I don't recall the guy's name, but it's this rags to riches story about this Latina a gentleman named Richard. And he grew up in some hard neighborhoods around some hardcore brothers and sisters, doing some dirt, going to jail. It was just a bad situation. And I won't spoil the whole thing, but the fact is that he grew up in a very rough situation, came up in a very rough situation, and he went on to spark $1 billion industry. And I won't even give any more details. I'm going to just say that. He grew up in some ridiculously harsh situations, had everybody you could possibly name telling him to pack it up, throw in that towel, stay in the hood, keep doing dirt, keep selling drugs, keep doing what you're doing. You'll never be anything. You don't have an education. Like, they were listing all of the limitations on his life. And yet there was something within his world, within him, that kept calling and kept saying, no, I've got something. I want to be somebody. And that was the term that he kept using in the movie. I want to be somebody. And perhaps you're in that position today. You want to be somebody. Well, my friend, I want to inform you that you are somebody. And in your own way, you, like Richard, you can become somebody. And it starts within. Because it's in Richard's world that he first became somebody. And the same will be true for you. It happened to me, and it can happen to you. So I'm going to take a look at my notes here, and I just want to begin to kind of break down some of these bullet points. The first thing that I want to share with you today is something called framework. Don't know if you've ever heard that term before, but it's vitally important for us to all understand what our framework is. By definition, framework is the explanation of a person's thought process. It's your cognitive skills. It is how something works in the real world for that individual. See, we are all living within a framework, and we're all living out of a framework. Everyone is. Everyone has a framework, whether they're aware of it or they're not. You have a framework. It's that inner world that you live in. When you hear people say, or when you say, oh, I could never do that. I could never go back to college and get my degree. Oh, I'm too old to go back to college and get my degree. And oh, I've had my shots. I've had my chances. I'll never amount to that. I'll never be able to start that business. I'll never be able to start that church. I'll never be able to thrive in that ministry. All of that, that's your framework. I won't go heavy on it. It's a lot more to it. I'll break it down in other episodes. But that's your framework. It's the way that you perceive life to be real. It's what you think is real. You know how people say, man, I'm keeping it real. No, you're keeping it your framework. That's what you're doing. It's real to you. It is. It's absolutely real to you. But again, one earth, infinite worlds. Your world ain't got to be my world. And my world ain't got to be your world. Because I might be carrying limitations in me that you would never stand for. And you might be holding on to limitations in you that I would never stand for. Right? So when we really think about it, guys, we determine limitations. We determine the limitations on our lives. And we're the only ones that have to endure them. That's right, man. The only limitations that you have to personally endure are the limitations that you personally endorse. I'll say that one more time for the people in the back. The only limitations in your life that you have to endure personally are the limitations in your life that you choose to endorse personally. You know how you have endorsement deals, right? Guys, shoes, Nikes, and whatnot, right? They'll endorse an athlete. They'll back them up. They'll put shoes on his feet and they'll put millions in his pocket. They support. Well, guys, there are limitations that you are supporting. You are fueling. You are putting some sneakers on the feet of your limitations, and your limitations are literally running the show, so to speak, because you keep feeding them. You keep fueling them. You keep endorsing them. So they keep growing and they keep living and they keep thriving in your life. Yeah, I think someone needed to hear that because that wasn't in my notes, right? So back to framework, guys. So framework, and I want to give an illustration. I think that's going to really unpack it for you, right? Let me give this illustration. Framework is the mental construct that we live in. You know how people say, don't put me in a box. Really what they're trying to say is don't box me in to a framework that I choose not to live in. They don't know that they're saying that most of the time, but that's really what they're saying. Don't box me in to a limiting framework that I really don't want to have to live in, right? So let me give you this illustration. So this first one of my little placards from my office says, wake up and be awesome, right? Wake up and be awesome. This is a frame. These words exist within the frame of this little placard. Wake up and be awesome. That could be your perception in life. That could be your perspective. That could be your battle cry every day, because you've been exposed to information and ideas that have caused you to think this way. So this term, wake up and be awesome, can actually be within your framework. That could be how you think, right? It's actually within your frame. Now, you see how this frame has borders? That means that this frame can only fit so much. So right now it's taken up by most of the, wake up and be awesome has taken up most of the space. Now, maybe I could scribble a few other words down at the bottom. Maybe I could add a few little words here at the top. Maybe I could write some stuff on the side, right? But there's not much real estate left within this frame. For me to write more, for me to add more content to this frame, guess what I would have to do? I would have to enlarge it. Yeah. Remember how the Bible talked about, Lord, enlarge my territory, right? Enlarge me, enlarge my scope, right? Now, in the Bible, they may have been talking about truly enlarging my physical land territory. Could have been. Okay. But I also love ideas around the mental territory, because that's where it all begins. Because even if I gave you acres and acres and acres of physical land territory, you would ruin it. You would throw it away. You would find some way to squander it if the mental territory, my God, isn't expanded as well. So let me give you this other example. I want to be careful here. So I've got another frame that is my trademark, my U.S. trademark. It's kind of big, right? Because it's taking up some space, right? And I kind of don't want to hit my mic here, but this frame is pretty big, right? And so this can hold a lot of space, right? This can hold a whole bunch of words and information, right? So this frame is much, much bigger. So more things can be in here, right? So this one holds the iAMthepossible trademark, right? And so, and I have a testimony about that. Again, I won't share it in this episode, but I'll share it in a different episode. I know I've shared it multiple times in some of the past episodes, but truly, 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 only by the grace and the love of God that I have this trademark, an amazing testimony that I will share. But here's the frame. You notice how the borders are much, much bigger than this frame. See? When they say you're playing small, thinking small, what they're saying is your frame is small. The way you think life works is small. The limitations that you've placed upon yourself there's so many limitations that your life becomes very small. Think of it this way. The more limitations you have, the less life you have. It's like subtraction. It's like the more you add limitations, the more you subtract life. So you want to start taking limitations off your life so that the limitations become small and your life becomes big. We'll see how this frame can fit inside this frame, and there's still plenty of space. One person has this size of a framework. Life is like this. Life is like that. This is how it is for me. This is how it is for them. I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm black. I'm Hispanic. I'm this. I'm white. I'm gay. I'm straight. I'm blah, 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 blah. I'm all these different things. And truly, you're just a child of God who only lives by the limitations in which you place on yourself. That's a perspective, right? So one person has a small frame. The other person has a very large frame. What's the difference? Glad you asked. The difference is something called information. That's it. It's information. Now, information can come in a million different ways. Information is the things that we listen to on the radio, if you still listen to radio. Might be iTunes or Pandora, right? But ideas come through things that we listen to. Ideas come through things that we watch. I talked about Hulu earlier. Cable television, right? Movies. Limitations come through podcasts. Or I'm sorry, not limitations, ideas. Ideas come through podcasts. You're listening to this podcast. What I'm doing is I'm sharing ideas, right? Ideas come through people. You listen to negative person, you get negative information, negative ideas. Positive person, positive information, positive ideas. The list goes on and on and on. Information is being offered. I was going to say transmitted or given, but you have to actually receive it, right? But it's certainly being offered 24/7, 24/7. From the moment you wake up, someone's texting you, emailing you, calling you. You cut the television on, someone's selling you something. You go to work, someone's telling you something. It never stops. You're sitting in traffic and you're daydreaming, you're thinking to yourself, you're observing people around you. We are bombarded. It never shuts off. Information is flowing constantly. What makes the difference is what information you allow to remain within you. What information you accept. What information do you endorse, like we talked about earlier? That's what's going to make up your framework. I could be exposed to the same information you are. If you accept it and I don't, it's not a part of my framework, and it is a part of your framework. So you have to live with that information. I don't. And we make these choices every single day of our lives, whether we are conscious to it or we are not. Here's the deal. We don't have a choice. The world, as we like to call it, right? Society, that's really what it is. Society bombards us day and night, 24/7, with information that we have been given the God-given gift of discerning whether or not we will endorse it or not, accept it or not, receive it or not. Most of us are not aware of this. Most of us are not conscious of this. And this is why we get into situations, circumstances, we get around people, we get around information, and without having a filter for our framework, we let everything in and everything takes residence. And that's why we don't know where we're going in life or what we're doing or who we are and what makes sense. And we're confused and we're frustrated and we're angry and we're tired and we're exhausted. And the list goes on and on and on because there's no filter to your framework. There's no filter on your frame. So today I want to just share. I've already been doing it, right? Even as I glance down at my notes, I'm already sharing what's on my notes. I don't even really need these notes. This is something that I've been living for all my life. And now I've become aware of these things. And so I've become passionate about you becoming aware of these things because it empowers you. It empowers your life. Now, will it still rain on you? Yes. Will the sun still beat down on you? Yes. Will problems still come your way? Yes. Do you still got to bear your cross? Yes. Will people still act a fool with you? Yes. Will people still disappoint you? Yes. Will God continue to be confusing and mysterious in some ways? Yes. Will your job still suck on Monday morning if it ain't your job that's aligned with your vocation, which we'll be getting back to next week? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Crap happens. Life happens. Right? But in the midst of all of that mess, there is a sanctuary. There is some peace. There is some productivity. There is some progress. There are some possibilities. There is some joy. There is some happiness. There is some calm. If you choose to include those things and the things that produce those things, if you allow those things into your framework, I want you, this is my job, I want you to see your worth in the work that you do and the world that you live in. That means the labor that you are taking on in your life. I want you to see your worth in that. When you go to work, I want you to feel good about yourself. I want you to know when you show up to work that you're not just some throwaway, that you're not just some low level or some low class or entry level, yada, yada, yada. I want you to hold your head up and I want you to know that you are there and that you add value, that your voice has value, that your presence has value, right? And that you are a part of something much greater than those 8 hours. And that you can live on that level and that you can live with that level of purpose and that level of meaning. And you can live out of that inspiration no matter where you are. And then secondly, I want you on the inside, man, in your mind. I want you to make up in your mind that you are worth something, that you come with value built in, that you are a creation of God, that you are God's idea, you're God's image, you're God's intention. He made you for a reason. You're not here by chance. Your life is a contribution. And the faster you identify what that contribution is, the faster you understand what you're worth in this world and in your work, then the greater quality of life you'll begin to live. And the limitations that you're endorsing and enduring now, you won't stand for them anymore. Those limitations you will no longer endorse. Those limitations you will no longer endure. Because you would have come to a realization. You would have come to an acceptance of the value of your voice, no matter where you are in this world, and no matter what kind of work you take on. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm a self-worth specialist. That's why this world needs a specialist, someone that specializes in this, because I don't see it much. I don't see people talking about this as much as they're giving you another laundry list of things that you got to do in order to qualify to be valuable. No, you are valuable. You just hadn't seen it yet. Can't be what you can't see. You can't be valuable if you can't see valuable in yourself. I'll say that again for the people in the back. You can't be valuable to you if you can't see valuable, right? If you can't see that value in you. And that goes back to our framework. You have to begin to introduce things that are going to tell you how valuable you are. Things that are going to remind you of how valuable you are. Because this world is going to do his job. It's going to bombard you. The devil's going to do his job. He's going to bombard you. Life, people who don't really know you like that, they're going to bombard you with all types of information that's going to go against your value. That's going to tell you that you don't have any worth. Just like that movie, Flamin' Hot. Shout out to that movie again, man. Right? You're going to constantly be bombarded with those naysayers, with those haters. And you have to learn to develop it within yourself and then live out of that inspiration. One thing that I didn't mention that I do want to mention Inspiration is so important to me because inspiration by definition means to breathe into. It means to inspire. It means to, right, inspire means to inspire. Inspire means to expand, right? I don't have my balloon with me this morning, but I love, when I go speak at events, I love carrying my little red balloon. And I love blowing it up and kind of using it as an illustration. Asking what does, and I won't give it away, right? But what does a balloon and a person have in common, right? I won't give that away. I'll save that for, if you want to know the answer, hire me for a speaking engagement and you'll get the answer, okay? But I love using that red balloon just to illustrate how something can expand when you blow into it. Something can expand when you blow into it, when you give breath to it, when you inspire it. It expands, just like the borders, right, of our frame, right? We showed the smaller frame, right? Remember that smaller frame. This may be your current frame, and then when you blow into someone, right? When you inspire them and they begin to expand, enlarge, then they become this frame, right? So you can only live out of what's within your frame. If you can reframe it, then you can begin to rename it. And if you can begin to rename it, then you can begin to reclaim it. The information is out there. Reframe it, rename it, reclaim it. What do I mean in closing? Reframe. Initially, the first thing that you need to reframe is the fact that you are unaware of what's possible for you. Anything that you can, within the limitations of the mind, not again those physical limitations. The 5'8" guy, the 5'9" guy ain't scaling a 30-foot wall. That's just one of those things that's physically, it ain't happening. But in here, the narratives, the stories, the limitations that you're telling yourself, that you've bought into, that experiences over time have taught you to believe, people and their negative chatter have taught you and convinced you to believe. The results of you attempting this or attempting that and you failing, those things that have taught you to think of yourself and think of your ability in a certain way. Step number one is reframing your possibilities. And you do that by acknowledging that this is in my head. That's step one. Acknowledging this is in my head. Let me give you an example. I'm a podcaster and I have some benchmarks. I've got some, what they call them, milestones set up for me for this year and in years to come. But let me give you the broad stroke, as we call it. I'm a global communication channel. I'm global. I'm everywhere. I'm from here to Africa, to China, to Japan, to Egypt, Europe, Spain, Portugal. I'm everywhere. I'm in the Bahamas. If you can find someone breathing, iAMthepossible is there. Am I there today? No. But am I there today? Yes. Yes. For those of you who are just listening, what I was referencing was, am I there like physically, like fact, if you were to search the podcast directories and look at my numbers, am I there in the physical, natural, tangible world? No, I'm not there yet. But in my mind, in my world, I'm there. That's who I is. I'm global, man. I'm all over this world. I'm everywhere. If you find a person breathing, I'm there. Because I already got it in my head. It's already in my mind. That means globalization of iAMthepossible has already taken root It is already a part of my world. It's just a matter of time before this other world, as we call it, this earth realm, this society catches up with it. Just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. My books are there as well. My books are being translated in all kinds of languages. Languages I can't even speak. My book is being translated into those languages because they're being shipped globally. I Am the Possible is going global. It is a global entity. I touch the entire world because I say so, because I think so, because I believe. That's my world. Now you could be doubting me. You can be hating on me. You can be saying, man, you too old. Man, you getting started too late. Man, that ain't never gonna happen. Man, you sitting in your front room in a rented house in California. Man, who you think you is? Well, I think I is a child of God with a great purpose on my life. And ain't nobody gonna stop me. That's who I think I is. Who do you think you is? It's all in your framework. It's all in your mind. So the first thing that I want you to do is to acknowledge that your limitations are in your mind. That's the first call to action. Acknowledge it. Accept it. Be okay with it. Because I've made you aware of it. I've done my job. Now you accept it and you acknowledge it. And you say, yeah, dang, you're right. Yup, I got it. They are. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we rename it. Let's say you got a limitation. Well, let's take my podcast example again. Let's say you were the podcaster and you like, yeah, man, I've been doing this thing for a while and, my numbers ain't really where I want them to be. Maybe I'll just be local. Maybe I'll just be local, right? I'll play small. That's a name, local, small. Now that you've reframed it, wait a minute, my possibilities are in my mind, my limitations are in my mind. Now we get to step 2, rename it. Stop saying local and start saying global. Stop looking at your limitation, right? Or thinking of those limitations and start thinking possibilities. Man, if I got online and made a friend in Japan and they started listening to it, and that friend has other friends that might like that content, and then they start listening to it, now I'm in China, just like that. Well, let me get online. Let me go searching, my brothers in Africa. Let me go, because I got some connections in, Africa, some solid anointed brothers. Shout out to Kenya, man. Shout out to South Africa, man. Let me befriend some people in Africa, right? Let me show them some love. Let me sow some seeds into their work, into their ministry. Let me befriend them. Let me share with them what I'm doing. Oh, I got a listener. Oh, that listener got friends. Hey man, share my content with your friends. Oh, now I'm in Africa. You see where I'm going with this? I'm just spitballing stuff, right? Just stuff that just coming top of mind. I ain't really sat down and really thought about, how to, do those different strategies in terms of, the specific step-by-step. It starts with what I'm going to do. Then the how I'm going to do it becomes a whole lot easier. But I'm just giving you some quick examples, right? So now you go from reframing it to now renaming it to reclaiming it. And what do I mean by reclaiming it? Claiming it means that's that persistence. That's that determination. That's that I'm a child of God with a purpose and ain't nobody gonna stop me. That's that reclaiming it daily. Because reclaiming it's a daily process, right? Think of it like try to think of like a redeemed. Okay, I'm drinking this bottle of water, and I think on here somewhere it's like a 5-cent type of thing where if you take the bottle in after you've drank the water, they'll give you 5 cents or 2 cents, right? You can go redeem it, right? You can go take it in and exchange it, right? So you're redeeming it. I think I'm giving a good example. Maybe I'm not, but you get my point, right? It's this idea where you know something is due you. You know something is owed to you, right? Maybe that was a bad example. Scratch it. Don't worry about it. Throw it out. Okay. But you get those ideas where you have something and you can take it somewhere and someone owes you something. Like, you know that this is due you because maybe of who you are, right? Someone passes away, they leave you an inheritance, they put your name on it. Well, it's yours. You qualify. So you go to the bank or you go to the place and, hey, I'm him, I'm her. Give me what's due to me, right? So you claim it. The same is true with possibility thinking. When you begin to reframe and rename things, you're taking back your life, right? You're taking the limitations off your life. That's a process. Well, the haters are going to hate and the naysayers are going to nay, right? The devil's going to be on his job, right? Here's a big one. Your past is going to keep coming up in the back of your mind. I mean, there's going to be a flood of, nope, that ain't you. You're never going to have that. You're never going to be there. You're never going to advance. The reclaiming is, no, the process works like this. I live in my world that is within me. This is like you actually like mentally going through the process. This is what I've done a million times. No, I hear what you're saying, negative talk, inner critic, friends, family who don't believe, coworkers who don't believe. I hear what you're saying, but, and this is the process of reclaiming it. Okay, I hear what you're saying, but the way this works is that I live through my world. My world is up to me to create. My world can have or not have limitations that I choose to endorse. Therefore, I choose to endure them. But I get to choose. Okay, as I'm choosing and not choosing, I am constructing my framework, a framework in which I'm going to live out of. And I can choose to neglect and reject everything that you guys are saying. And I can find people, I can find information, I can find outlets, resources that feed and fuel what I want to have happen, what I believe for, what I'm looking for, what I'm praying for. I can find resources, podcasts, videos, movies, friends, mentors, professionals, pastors. I can find people and things that will continue to feed my framework. And then I can begin to work out of that framework. And I can eventually be everything that God's created me to be, have everything that God created me to have, and do everything that God's created me to do. Because I choose. I choose. The power of choice. Because I choose. I reframe, I rename, and I reclaim my life. I take the limits off my life because I choose to. Not because I have to. I could stay right where I'm at, but I choose to take the limits off. That's your CTA. That's your CTA, guys. Now, again, this is a podcast episode. I can't share everything. I can't break everything down. Is there a lot more to it? Always. There's always more to it. But this is a great jumpstart. This is a great beginning point for anyone. Reframe, rename, reclaim your life. Take the limits off. Now, as always, guys, this is what I do as a profession. If you're out there today and you're saying to yourself, I hear what you're saying. I love what you're saying. In fact, I need what you're saying. But I need some help. I need somebody to walk with me, talk with me, work with me, hold my hand through this process. Break down some of those other things that I'm not aware of. Help me to put together a strategy, a plan. Help me to put together something that I can actually institute in my life to live without these limitations that I'm so tired of living with. If that's you, then I want you to click the link here on YouTube or in the show notes on any of the podcast platforms that you might be listening to this on. It's called a discovery call. Let's jump on a 15-minute discovery call. Let's discover if we're a good fit. I might not be for you, and if I'm not, I can refer you out to other people that might be, because I respect the fact that where you are and what you're dealing with might be outside of my capacity to serve you, or you might fit into my capacity to serve you. But we have to discover that through a quick conversation, right? But if you want the help, I'm here to help. And if I can't do it personally, I have several trusted, not a whole lot, a few trusted, well-vetted professionals in this space that can assist you. But it starts with the reach out, right? If you choose to, go to iAMthepossible.com, click on the contact tab, shoot me an email. I'll get back to you that way as well. You can either do the jump straight on the call, or you can hit me up with an email, ask me any questions that you might like, and I'll respond to you personally. Okay? But that's how you can reach out to me. That's how you can get the ball rolling. But that's it, guys. I know that last week I started with the part 1. I'm going to pick up with part 2 next week. Okay? This one was on my heart. This one I felt needed to be shared. I think someone really needed to hear this one. And so it was on my heart, and I just felt this is the one that I need to release this week. So I hope and pray that it has served you well and that you have been inspired. Inspiration is always my intention. Through everything that I do, say, think, it is always my intention to inspire you in your life and in your leadership. Okay? So that's always my intention. So I hope and pray that I've done that for you guys this week. Again, if you're someone out there who's looking for that little bit of extra help, someone to really mentor you, work with you, guide you through these different concepts, and really help you put together a strategy to see that level of success that you really want to see in life, again, click the link below. Let's jump on the call and let's work it out. All right. Until next time, this is Travell C.W. Lynch, Mr. What? Your self-worth specialist, signing off once again, telling you guys until next week. I love you guys. I'm praying for you guys. I am believing in you guys. This has been another episode, another experience of the I Am the Possible podcast. Experience, the place where possibilities become perspective. Salute. Shalom. Much love.